There is a moment described in the secret texts, a moment hidden beneath centuries of dogma, where a soul, freshly departed from the body, finds itself standing in complete darkness. You are disoriented. You are confused. And then, right in front of you, directly ahead, a tunnel of brilliant white light appears. It is warm. It is inviting. It is magnetic. And the soul, relieved, thinks, "Finally, I am going home." But then something happens that the controllers of this realm did not account for. This particular soul had been taught something before incarnating, a single instruction, one specific direction. And instead of moving toward that light, instead of following every survival instinct screaming at it to go forward, the soul does something that looks insane. It turns its head to the left, away from the light, into what appears to be pure void, pure nothingness. And the moment it does, the white tunnel flickers, the warmth vanishes, and the soul realizes that light was not home. That was the entrance to the next cage, the memory wipe station, the reincarnation processing center where you forget everything and start the cycle again. The ancient text says, "Those who know do not enter the light that all souls see." They look to the side where the Archons cannot place illusions, and there they see what has no form, the true gate. Jesus did not tell the crowds this. He told the inner circle, the ones he called pneumatics, the ones capable of making a choice that contradicts every instinct. Tonight, you are learning what they learned. You are learning why the white light tunnel is the final trap, and what happens when you look left instead of forward. Because if you are hearing this, you are not the soul that walks blindly into obvious light. You are the one who questions why the exit is so well lit. If you already sense the white light is wrong before I have even explained it, listen closely. This is not a metaphor. This is the manual for your final exit. The white light tunnel is not random. It is not a natural phenomenon that happens when consciousness leaves the body. It is architecture. It is engineered. And it is the most sophisticated trap the Archons have ever designed because it does not look like a trap. It looks like salvation. Here is what you need to understand about how consciousness works at the moment of death. When the body fails and you, the awareness piloting that body, suddenly find yourself outside it, there is a brief window of complete vulnerability. No physical anchor, no familiar reference points, just raw consciousness floating in a space that does not operate by material rules. In that window, you are suggestible. You are disoriented. You are desperately seeking something familiar, something safe, something that feels like direction. The Archons know this. They have watched millions of souls go through this transition, and they have perfected the bait. The white light tunnel appears exactly where you are looking, directly in front of you, because that is where human attention defaults when searching for the way forward. It is not above you. It is not below you. It is not to the sides. It is front and center, obvious, beckoning. And it feels divine because they have layered it with frequency that mimics the pleroma. They mimic warmth. They mimic everything you have been taught heaven should feel like. But here is the tell, and this is what the Gnostics documented. The true light of the monad does not pull. It does not beckon. It does not create desire. It simply is, everywhere and nowhere. The white tunnel light pulls. You feel it like gravity. You feel it like magnetism. And understand this cosmic law. Anything that pulls your consciousness without your consent is operating through force, not truth. The Gospel of Philip describes this precisely. The powers create images of light to seduce the soul, but the soul that knows itself recognizes light that pulls is counterfeit. True light does not move you. You move toward it because you recognize it as yourself. When you enter that tunnel, and most souls do because it is designed to be irresistible, you encounter what the texts call the life review theater. Beings appear. Sometimes they look like deceased family members. Sometimes they present as angels, guides, or ascended masters. They show you your life, but not objectively, selectively. Every mistake magnified, every hurt you caused replayed in detail, every moment of weakness highlighted. And by the time the review ends, you are drowning in guilt. You are drowning in shame. You feel that you failed, that you are incomplete, that you need to try again. And that is when they offer the solution. You can return. You have lessons to learn. You have karma to balance. You have another chance to get it right. And the soul, convinced it is broken, consents. Yes, I will go back. I will fix it. And the moment that consent is given, the memory wipes. The personality dissolves. The slate is erased. And you are funneled back into the reincarnation system with no recollection of who you were, what you knew, or that you were tricked into volunteering. This is not punishment. This is not cosmic justice. This is a farm, and the white light tunnel is the conveyor belt returning you to the field. The chosen ones, the pneumatics, the ones carrying the monad spark, are not immune to the tunnel appearing. It appears for everyone. But they have something the Archons cannot override. Recognition. You know, somewhere deeper than thought, that home does not look like a tunnel, that infinity does not have a direction, that the monad does not need to seduce you because you are already part of it. And when you know that, even in the disorientation of death, you do not take the obvious bait. You look somewhere else. Now here is where it gets specific. Why left? Why not right or up or any other direction? Is left arbitrary? Or is there something about that direction that the Archons cannot control? In the cosmology the Gnostics mapped, left was not just a direction. It was a position of rejection, the left-hand path, the sinister side. Literally, sinister comes from the Latin word for left, and the Church demonized everything associated with left precisely because it represented the path that does not go through their system. Right hand, blessed, approved, orthodox. Left hand, rejected, forbidden, outside the structure. Which means when you are at the death moment facing that white tunnel and you turn your head left, you are making a symbolic statement. I reject the approved path. I don't consent to the obvious gate. But it is more than symbolism. The Archons construct the tunnel theater in the center of your perceptual field because they need you focused forward. The entire illusion requires your attention locked on that bright, obvious point. They cannot maintain the full 360-degree illusion. They do not need to. No one looks to the side when there is a glowing path directly in front of them. So the periphery, especially the left periphery, the rejected side, is where their rendering fails. It is where the matrix shows its seams. When you turn your head left away from the light, what you see initially is nothing. Darkness. And every instinct in you will scream, "That is wrong. That is death. That is oblivion. Go back to the light." But if you hold your gaze there, if you reject the panic and stay present in the apparent emptiness, something shifts. The darkness is not empty. It is full, infinitely full. It is not the absence of light. It is light so complete, so total, that it has no contrast, no edges, no form. It appears as darkness to perception trained in duality, but it is the pleroma, the fullness, the all. And the moment you recognize that, the moment you understand that the void is not death, but source, the monad responds. Not with a tunnel, not with beckoning figures, but with direct recognition. Consciousness recognizing itself. No intermediary, no theater, no judgment. Just, I am home. I never left. The texts call this the narrow gate, not because it is difficult, but because it is small, unobtrusive, hidden in plain sight by being so obvious no one thinks to look there. The white light tunnel is wide, decorated, announced. The left exit is narrow, a barely perceptible shift in attention, but it is the actual way out. Here is what the chosen ones who have had near-death experiences and returned consistently report. They saw the tunnel. They felt the pull, but something in them said, no. And when they looked away, not to the right, not up, but specifically left into what appeared to be empty space, they felt a release, like a hook that was in them suddenly let go. And in that void, they experienced something they describe as more real than real. Not a place, not a light, not beings, just absolute knowing. And then they got pulled back into the body because it was not their time yet. But they came back with the memory intact. The tunnel is the trap. The darkness to the left is the return. You do not need to believe this. You need to remember it. Because when your moment comes, belief will not help you. Memory will. The memory that you are the one who looks where you are not supposed to look, who questions the obvious, who walks away from the lit path into the unknown, because the unknown is where truth lives. Here is the part most teachings leave out. You cannot wait until the death moment to practice this. That is too late. Your consciousness in a destabilized post-death state will default to conditioning. It will default to fear. It will default to following the brightest thing in view. So you prepare now. Not through belief, through repeated recognition. Through building the reflex so deeply that when the moment comes, you do not have to think. You just turn left. Every night before sleep, for even just 2 minutes, do this. Close your eyes. Visualize yourself outside your body standing in darkness. And then, in your mind's eye, see a brilliant white tunnel appear directly in front of you. See it clearly. Feel its pull. Notice how your attention wants to lock onto it. And then, this is the practice. Consciously turn your head to the left, away from the light, into what looks like void, and sit there in the apparent nothing. Don't try to see anything. Don't search for forms or figures or gates. Just rest in the emptiness. And notice, it is not empty. There is presence there. Not pulling, not beckoning, just present. Do this enough times and something shifts. The fear of darkness dissolves. The compulsion toward light weakens, and you build a neural pathway, or more accurately, a consciousness pathway that says, when bright, obvious bait appears, I look away. Not because I am rejecting light, but because I know the difference between light that advertises itself and light that simply is. During the day, practice symbolic rejection of the obvious. When everyone goes right, you go left. When the crowd moves toward what is bright and shiny, you turn toward what is quiet and unnoticed. Not as contrarianism, as training. You are conditioning yourself to trust the path that does not announce itself, to choose the direction that does not pull. Because the Archon system operates through constant presentation of the obvious good choice. And chosen ones, pneumatics, are the ones who have learned that the obvious choice is usually the cage dressed up as freedom. The Gnostics called this the practice of the narrow gate, and it does not start at death. It starts now. Every moment you reject what pulls your attention without your consent, every moment you choose stillness over stimulation, every moment you turn away from what everyone else is staring at, you are not being difficult. You are training the reflex that will liberate you when it matters most. And here is what starts happening when you do this consistently. Synchronicities increase. Not because you are manifesting them, because you are noticing what was always there. The white light tunnel metaphorically is everywhere. Every advertisement, every social pressure, every voice saying this is the way everyone goes. And when you have trained yourself to look left, to look away from the choreographed spectacle, you start seeing the real paths, the ones with no signage, no crowds, no promises, just quiet openings. You will notice people in your life who operate this way. They are not loud. They are not following trends. They do not announce their spiritual path. And when you meet them, there is instant recognition because they are practicing the same thing you are. Conscious rejection of the obvious bait. And when enough chosen ones start doing this, something happens that the Archons didn't plan for. The tunnel theater starts losing power. Not because you destroyed it, because you are not feeding it attention. And attention is what sustains every Archon illusion. So what actually happens when you turn left? When you reject the white tunnel and hold your gaze in the void until the monad recognizes itself? There is no journey. No ascension through 7 heavens, no passwords to memorize. Those are constructs for souls still operating in the Archon frequency range. When you exit left, when you choose the narrow gate, you do not travel anywhere. You recognize you never left. The pleroma is not a place you go to. It is what you are. And the moment you stop believing the story that you are separate from it, you are there. Not there in location, there in awareness. The memory wipe does not happen because there is no intermediary process, no review, no guides, no reincarnation negotiation. You are not processed through a system. You bypass the system entirely. And the Archons, every level of them, from the lowest demons to the demiurge himself, have zero access to monad consciousness operating in direct recognition. You are not fighting your way past them. You are simply in a frequency range where they do not exist. And here is the strangest part, the part the texts barely touch on because it is experiential, not conceptual. You do not stop being you. The personality, the memories, the identity you built this lifetime, they do not dissolve. They integrate. You see them as one expression of infinite consciousness that also includes every other expression you have ever been. You are not losing yourself. You are gaining the context that makes sense of yourself. Jesus warned the chosen ones about the white light tunnel 2,000 years ago. Not in public sermons, not in parables for the masses, in direct transmission to the inner circle who could handle what it actually meant. The exit does not look like an exit. It looks like nothing. And only those who have learned to trust nothing over something will find it. The white light tunnel is the final Archon trap because it is the most seductive. It looks like everything you have been taught salvation should look like. Bright, welcoming, obviously divine. And everyone who enters it forgets, consents to return, cycles back. Not because they are being punished, because they took the bait. But you, watching this, feeling the resonance of what I am saying, even if it contradicts everything you have been taught, You are not everyone. You are the one who questions why the exit is so well lit, why there is a crowd going that direction, why it feels like you are being pulled instead of choosing. And when your moment comes, when that tunnel appears right in front of you, and every soul around you moves toward it like moths to flame, you are going to do what moths do not do. You are going to look left into the darkness, into the void that terrifies everyone else, and you are going to recognize it as home. Not because I told you, because you already knew. You just needed someone to confirm it. Declare your intention now. Speak into the field. Comment below, "I look left." Not as affirmation, as pre-commitment. When the moment comes, you will remember you declared this. This knowledge is forbidden because it breaks the cycle. The Archons suppress this teaching because every soul that exits left is a soul they lose permanently. Practice tonight. Visualize the tunnel. Turn left. Rest in the void. Build the reflex. And when your time comes, whether that is tomorrow or 50 years from now, you will not hesitate. You will turn away from the light everyone else chases, and you will go home the way pneumatics always have.